I was the first person, and you can look at the videos, to say that the only way this government could change is to bring somebody in that's for peace, justice, and the American way. Think about it. Think about if your father was assassinated. What kind of person would you be? Think about if your uncle, the President of the United States, was assassinated. What kind of person would you be? The person would be John F. Kennedy Jr., a man that came out against the COVID war, a man that preaches freedom, peace, and justice, and a man whose national campaign manager is here. A man that I admired as I was learning about life and becoming smarter. A man that protested every one of America's murderous wars in opposition to just about everybody else. And he's here today to talk about RFK Jr. and how we could make America the country that we all love, and that's why all of you are here today. Ladies and gentlemen, Congressman Dennis Kucinich.
Hello, Kingston. Hello, Kingston. Can you hear me back there? Can you hear me? Let me see your thumbs up. Okay, great. Gerald, thank you for making this possible. Gary, thank you for all of the effort you made in getting this message out on your radio show. Let's hear it for Gerald and for Gary and for everyone who was involved in bringing us together. It takes a lot of work to do that. And if any of you are sitting out in the sun for too long, make sure you get some water. I don't want to hear reports that people passed out during this speech. A few things I just want to clear up right away. First of all, the turnout here is terrific, and I want to thank all of you who are here. We've created a number that you can text to in order for you, if you're interested now in helping, I'm going to give you the number, and I'll give you the number afterwards after you hear what I have to say. But the number that I'd like you to text to, and this is for Kingston only, is 202-664-3406. 202-664-3406. Text to that number if you want to get involved in the Kennedy campaign. Now, I'm going to talk about it now in a minute. Again, 202-664-3406. So, Gerald and I, before I came in here, and I was at the Mohican, we were talking about the campaign, and he wanted me to make sure that I mentioned two things to you. So I'm going to do that before I make my presentation, because this is Gerald's show that he put together with Gary. Many of you will remember that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has had a 40-year career as an environmental attorney. Kennedy has led the way in getting chemicals out of foods, toxins out of the water. He most recently was responsible, part of a team of attorneys who successfully sued Monsanto and their corporate hierarchs. He's somebody who is dedicated to clean air, to clean water. He has been known, some of you know him, as the hero of the Hudson, because he's the one who led the effort to clean up the Hudson. And it was his singular effort on his part, using his knowledge as an environmental attorney. Now, there was a news report, I don't know, 8 years ago, where somebody interviewed him, and he was asked about the Koch brothers and about their position with respect to some of the responsibilities they had for the environment. And some people had interpreted that anybody who, it was interpreted stupidly as anybody who didn't agree with him on climate matters was going to go to jail. You know, I shouldn't have to point this out, but that's not a fact. Robert F. Kennedy is first and foremost an environmental attorney. The judicial system decides how to dispense with people who are polluters, and he's never said that he's going to execute people, put them in jail. There's a lot of crazy talk that goes out in the campaign. I've been in a lot of campaigns. I know about it. The one thing that I want you to keep in mind, and I'm here to really talk about peace and a vision of the America that can be, but what we have found is this, that that carbon that's up there, and there's a lot of it. I worked in Congress on trying to limit atmospheric carbon concentrations. We're way past what I was hoping for 10 years ago. One of the things we're talking about in this campaign is bringing the carbon down through regenerative agriculture. Put the carbon back where it needs to be, in the soil. Improve the soil microbiome, right? This is the path that we need to take nationally, and we need a leader to make that happen, and that's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So I just wanted to, Gerald, you asked me to cover that. I out of respect for you, I did. Now what I'd like to do, some of you may want to chime in at some point, that's fine, but I'm going to keep going. I want to, we're on the Memorial Day weekend, and 2 and 3 generations ago, many of us have had people in our families who either served and came home, and some who didn't. And this is the day that's dedicated for remembering those who served the country and who gave their lives for the country. That's a solemn matter. My father fought in World War II. He had his knee shot out at a place called Bougainville in the Solomon Islands. And of course it affected his life. There's a lot of people who go into combat, if they come home, their lives are affected and the family's lives are affected forever. But today we remember everybody who served, and especially those who had not come back. And I'm going to ask just for a moment of silence and respect on this Memorial Day for all those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country, and for those who gave everything they had in their last measure of devotion to the United States of America. So I would ask you to join me right now in that moment of silence. Thank you very much. We're at a critical moment in the history of this country and in the history of the world. All of us who are in my generation are familiar with the Cuban Missile Crisis, and how for a few days in October in 1962, the fate of the world hung in the balance. And it was only because we had a president with a steady hand and nerves of steel who had the ability to reach out to the Russian leader, Nikita Khrushchev, in a mutual recognition of what it meant if the countries moved forward and plunged into nuclear war. John F. Kennedy understood that the fruits of that kind of victory would be, as he called it, a mouthful of ashes. Here we are in 2023, and every day right now, there's a silent Cuban Missile Crisis going on. Every day, the people in the White House are ratcheting up tensions as though they're unaware of where this could lead. Every day, you have people running the machinery of government in the United States who are whistling through the graveyards of history. It was more than astonishing that our president, President Biden, who I've known for 50 years, that he would be at the cenotaph in Hiroshima, which was built to honor the memories of those who perished in the attack, the atomic bombing of Hiroshima, and of course we know about Nagasaki, where those bombs were dropped. And yet that the same meeting of the G7 that took place, where all those leaders were arrayed on a stage, and they're paying solemn tribute to those who perished in an atomic attack, which our nation pursued. And at that very moment, policies were being pursued that would ratchet up the potential for conflict with a nuclear power that has more weapons than we do. We're acting as though there are no consequences. I object to the invasion of Ukraine. I object to that. But two wrongs don't make a right. And the United States has been on a policy of confrontation with Russia. It's been a geopolitical game, and it's also been a game that deals with energy resources. We all know this. But the world has changed. There is no longer a unipolar moment. We're not one country above all countries. We're one country among all nations, certainly in a position to take a leadership position. But every nation has the right to its sovereignty. Every country has the right for people have a right to be able to survive. Every one of us has that same right as a human being. We no longer have the right or the responsibility to rule the world. We have to recognize that there are many different centers of power in the world. There's power for all. We have to respect national sovereignty. This is America. We have to be better than we are right now. We can no longer say it's my way or the highway. That's not the America that can lead the way towards peace. I led the effort against the war in Iraq. It wasn't easy because it wasn't easy. I'm going to explain to you why, and some of you will remember this. Remember in 2002, when a determination had been made to go to war, and they laid out all the causes of war, and I said, wait a minute. Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. Iraq had nothing to do with al-Qaeda's role in 9/11. Iraq didn't have the intention, the capability of attacking the United States. Iraq, thank you. And Iraq, there was no proof they had any weapons of mass destruction, that they were getting ready to attack the United States. I wrote that in a memo. I distributed it to every member of the United States Congress. At least 200 of them, I put it in their hands personally. We organized 125 people who voted against the war. But we still went to war. That war was based on a lie. We were responsible, our government was responsible for killing about 1 million innocent Iraqis as a result of this. And that's the truth. And we should have never gone into Iraq. We should have never attacked that country. It cost us $8 trillion. You want to know where the national debt's going? You take that as a big part of it. So I'm not here as somebody who's a theoretician. I have been in the arena. I understand totally what's going on. I know about wars that are waged for energy. I know about wars that are waged in power games. I know about wars that are waged for totally the wrong reason. I know about wars that waste life. I know about wars that waste our country's resources. I know about wars. And I'm here to tell you that if you elect Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the next president of the United States, all that stops. No more wars, no more trying to impose the will of America on other countries, developing our energy resources to make sure we meet our needs, agricultural practices that bring the carbon down, moving ahead where the environment will protect the water, will protect the land, taking all those companies that control the agencies, whether it's the FDA, the EPA, the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all that corporate control is thrown out of Washington. We bring a president who can give the people back their government. And if you want your government back, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the only person who can do that. Now look, I've run for president twice and had a lot of support in this area, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate it very much. But I see Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as the one person who could go inside the Democratic Party and turn the equation. Why? He's a Kennedy Democrat. I'm a Kennedy Democrat. A lot of Kennedy Democrats moved away from the party because they said they don't represent us anymore. They're talking about things that are not related to the practical aspirations of the American people. We're concerned about jobs, about wages, about health care, about security, Social Security, about making sure that people can have a decent life and a roof over their heads, safe neighborhoods. That's the classic Democratic approach that has won us election after election. We've gotten away from it. The Kennedy Democrats are centrist. And today, that's my journey. That's where I am. I didn't, you know, the party changed around me, and a lot of you feel the same way. We can bring it back to the center with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. But the policies have to be changed. We have to stop these wars. We need right now to be engaging with Russia and China to stop the escalation of conflict, because all the policies now are aimed at trying to make the administration look tough. At whose expense? Where are we going? I'm telling you that one false move, everything that we have in life, every journey that you've taken that's brought you to this moment could suddenly be cut off. Don't be so sure it can't happen. It just takes somebody making a mistake, saying the wrong thing, pushing a button, starting a war, and then look, today the destructive power is thousands of times what it was at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Thousands of times. The world is at risk today. I'm here with a sense of urgency, not out of fear, but out of an excitement of the country that can be. I want you to think of the America that can be. This is what we're all dedicated to. We cannot come out of fear. Fear paralyzes us. Fear incapacitates us. Fear causes us to make worse the better reason. Fear directs us away from our own interests. And those who are running things right now, they want to do that. They want to censor us. They want to have the government working with big tech. And they're creating something that doesn't resemble remotely anything that I believe in as a democratic system, and I don't think anything you believe in. It's something that is a totalitarian approach. And if we don't get somebody in that White House who said, this ends, we're going to reclaim what it means to be free in America. We're going to reclaim what liberty, the essence of liberty means. We're going to reclaim truth. We're going to stop this media approach that tries to tell us this is the only way we can think anymore. This is our time to reclaim our country, and I'm here to ask you to join with me in making Robert F. Kennedy Jr. the next President of the United States. So the number to text to, 202-664-3406, 202-664-3406. Say it one more time, 202-664-3406. We want people to help with canvassing, because we're going to canvass every community up and down the Hudson. We want people to help us put up signs. We want people to hold meetings for us. We want people to help us organize rallies, and I'll make every effort to get Mr. Kennedy here in the closing months of the campaign. We want people to be part of this campaign. This campaign, for us, isn't about, control by anyone. It's about you, the people, and your right to reclaim your government. So I'm going to, there's a few people here with questions, have their hands raised. I'll answer a few questions, but I'm going to do another thing. I'm going to come here, I'll stay here as long as I can, Gerald, and meet with you individually and answer any questions that you have. But right now, we got a few people, questions. Go ahead.
What's Bobby's Second Amendment position? Alex Newman of Liberty Sentinel says that these migrants coming in, they're being placed to invade us internally. We need self-defense. What is Bobby's Second Amendment position?
This question is the Second Amendment. The Supreme Court has pretty much, decided that there is such a thing as a right to bear arms, and it's an individual right. This is their decision. We have the gun issues are part of a broader debate, and I want to share with you how we look at this. First of all, I want to thank the Kingston police who are off duty, who are here, because they're making sure that let's thank the Kingston police. You know, one of the rights that we've lost in recent years is the right to be free of fear in public places. Every one of you knows what I'm talking about. You know, today we think about, we go to church, shopping, you go to a theater, anywhere, and all of a sudden we're concerned that somebody could pull out a weapon. We never used to have to worry about that, but now it's a legitimate concern. We have to look at, how do we look at the deeper issues in this country, some of which are mental health, to deal with it? You can't, there is not a call right now. There's no way in this atmosphere of fear that people are going to give up their guns. It's not going to happen. So let's get real about that. You know, I mean, I have my own opinions on it. I'll be right with you. But, you know, at this point, Mr. Kennedy says, look, it's the Second Amendment, and the Supreme Court has decided we want to create a culture where there's peace, city by city, where the cities are really in trouble right now. I was mayor of Cleveland. I've seen what's happening in cities across the country. But the deeper issue is, how do we control the impulse towards violence in our society? It's a much longer discussion, and certainly something that we have to continue to talk about. Next question. Go ahead. Come closer so I can hear you, okay?
I'm going to vote for Mr. Kennedy. I'm going to campaign for Mr. Kennedy. If he doesn't get the primary, will he go independent and not get thrown under the bus like Charlie?
Well, the question is, if you hadn't heard it, would Mr. Kennedy run as an independent if he doesn't get the nomination? Our focus right now is on the nomination, and let me tell you why. You know, a number of national polls, the campaign's a month old, and in less than a month, national polls have had him at 20%, which is almost unprecedented for a Democratic candidate coming to challenge a Republican incumbent, or a Democrat incumbent. So, you know, we're focused on the primary. And what we're finding in this primary is that Republicans, Libertarians, people from different parties are ready to support him in the primary. Wherever in the states they're permitted to do that. Independents are ready to do that. But we're going to take one thing at a time. And my feeling is we're developing the campaign so people will have a reason to vote in the primary. And when that happens, I think that we'll have an excellent chance to win. The campaign is now. We need your help now to build out an organization in the Hudson Valley now. And thank you to the lady. 202-664-3406. Next question. Come on forward. Come on forward. You had a question, please? If somebody had a question, come forward.
Democrats are dead.
And I'm worried that him worried about carbon will take us away from where we really need to be.
Okay, first of all, let's thank the gentleman for his question. Thank you. And thank you for the support that you have articulated for me in the past. I made a decision to, when I met with Mr. Kennedy a couple months ago and we talked about, he told me that he was thinking of running, and I immediately told him, you should do this, you could win the primary. Now, I can't tell you that I think that I could win the primary, because, you know, I would have my doubts about winning a primary, frankly, for me. I've been there. You know, I've tried twice. I know what it is like to go into a Democratic primary. I understand the odds for somebody like myself. But the constituency that I have, people like that gentleman, when we combine that to the centrists on the left and the right of center, I think we can win the primary. I think we can win the election. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. can be the next president. We get, you know, right now, I believe he has the support that he could beat either Mr. Trump or Mr. DeSantis. But I will tell you something. There is no other Democrat in this race who would have the chance to defeat Mr. Trump. Kennedy's the only one who could do it. He's the only Democrat who can win. Now, as far as the environmental issues that have been raised, it's still early in the campaign. We have to strike a balance. And that balance is going to be in consultation with the advice of people from around the country who work on environmental matters. I wanted to make sure at the beginning of this presentation that I straightened out some things that Gerald was concerned about, and I did. But, you know, there's a longer discussion. I appreciate your concern. This is about changing the direction of America and protecting our way of life, protecting our environment, and making sure that the preconditions of life, which involve, you know, our own existence, that they aren't overwhelmed by international politics, which put us into a third world war. Thank you. I had a question over here somewhere. Go ahead. Yeah.
Dennis, I supported both of your campaigns, and I love what you represent in American politics, and I'm 100% in support of Bobby's campaign in every way. My question is, why do you continue the lie about Al-Qaeda and 9/11? Anyone who studied this subject knows that Al-Qaeda had nothing to do with it, that it was an inside job by members of the Bush administration and Israeli
Look,
intelligence.
you know, the gentleman's question is about, thank you for your support. The gentleman's question is about 9/11. And look, I've spent quite a bit of time, and I want to acknowledge there's a lot of open questions. And the only way we're ever going to know the truth is to have a president who's dedicated the truth about everything that's happened in this country. That's why I'm for Kennedy. Next question. Yeah, the gentleman there. I'll get to everybody if I can. Come on up, okay? Talk to me.
With all due respect, I'm going to talk to you. And
I know, but you have a question.
Okay, the question is this. Whether we like it or not, the reset is here. They're giving us cryptocurrency. Listen to me. Take the mic! Central bank.
I got the mic.
Whether we like it or not, right? Okay. Listen. Okay, listen. Peace and blessings to everybody. Thanks for being here. Thank you, sir. I voted for you.
Appreciate that.
For many, many years, I've been following you.
Appreciate that.
So, but the thing is, look, whether we like it or not, okay, cryptocurrency is here. The scheme, and we're not even talking about America, right, is to get rid of the middle class, okay? They're planning, okay, when I say they, right now, what we're going to think about, right, is having, with all due respect, right, is having at least a couple of weeks worth of water, food, whether you believe in the Second Amendment or not. Think about it. We go home tonight, and the lights go out. After 2 days in the store, there's no more food and water. Your neighbor that has babies that haven't been prepared, right? After 3 days, if they know you have food, guess what? They will kill you. You know why? Because no one wants to see their baby die. So right now it's real simple. Okay, the question is this, okay? The question is this, right? The cryptocurrency is here, right? The banks all over the world are using a cryptocurrency called XRP, XLM, right? I'm giving you information, right? The information is this, right? Okay, Congressman, okay. Okay, the question is this. What are we going to do, right, when they're already committed, right, to use cryptocurrency, okay? What can we do to protect ourselves? And I'm just telling you, XRP, 47 cents, XLM, 8 cents.
Thank you. Let's thank the gentleman for his question. Okay. Now, I'm going to take one more question, and I'm going into the audience, but I'm going to answer his question. Mr. Kennedy recently appeared, some of you are aware, that he appeared at a Bitcoin conference. And let me tell you what he said. You have to be aware that right now there are people in Washington who want to create a central bank digital currency, which would be able to track every purchase you make, where you're at. Once we get to that, government doesn't like what you're saying, they could cut it like the Chinese do. They cut off social credit. They can cut you off economically. Robert F. Kennedy's election means the end of that kind of approach for economic tyranny. No central bank digital currency. Done. Thanks for the question. One more question, and then I'm going out to meet you. A lady. Go ahead.
So I would like. Oh, I don't know. Okay. So I would like to know what would be I am from Latin America. And so I would like to know what's the position of Mr. Kennedy and you about intervening in Latin America continually?
Great question.
Okay, that's a great question.
Great question.
What I want to say to my friends of Latin American background, voy a votar por Señor Kennedy. Él no se olvidar de ustedes. Gracias. So, look, all of this interventionism ends. You know, John F. Kennedy had a whole new plan for all the interventions end. John F. Kennedy had a plan that had to do with supporting economic development. But what's happened since that time, economic development has been used to subvert one government after another. And I know your concern. So you could tell the brothers and sisters that we are for non-intervention, cooperating with other nations, a new era of good feeling, an opportunity that we can all work together for economic prosperity for all, and the end of these unrelenting wars. We have a right to be able to live in freedom and peace, and this is what Occupy Peace is about. This is what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is about. Thank you, everyone. I'm coming right down there to meet with you. Thank you.
What a man, what a man, what a man. How blessed we are that he's here.